It's happening again. Brandon Aiyuk rumored to the Washington Commanders. Adam Peters, will he finally make a move and reunite Jayden Daniels with his college teammate Brandon Aiyuk from Arizona State? Welcome in everybody to Commanders Digest. I am your host, Carl McManus. Now let's get right into the news. Brandon Aiyuk is reportedly disgruntled in San Francisco. San Francisco placing him on the injured non-report list, and Dan Graziano of ESPN saying Washington has been pegged by a lot of people as a potential destination for Aiyuk, as it's believed he would like to team up with former Arizona State teammate Jayden Daniels. Now, more on those rumors in San Francisco. Kyle Shanahan, head coach for the 49ers, saying, we haven't seen him in forever. Speaking on Aiyuk, it's been pretty simple for me. I haven't seen him in a month. Same with our team. Now, the 49ers sound pretty clearly like they're cutting ties with Brandon Aiyuk here. If we go back to looking at Brandon Aiyuk's contract, just signed a 4-year guaranteed deal extension with the 49ers in 2024, tears his ACL last year, hasn't even reported to San Francisco this year. We're in December now, and Brandon Aiyuk has not even been seen in 49ers camp since November at least, and hasn't played all year, still recovering, quote unquote, from that ACL tear. But this is huge news for the Commanders. As we already know, Jayden Daniels is his former teammate at Arizona State. Here is Aiyuk at Arizona State. His senior year teamed up with Jayden Daniels, and let's take a look at some of his stats from his senior year with Jayden Daniels. A 1,000-yard receiver, all with JD5 as his quarterback. Only 12 games played, 65 receptions, 1,192 receiving yards. That's 18.3 yards per game with Jayden Daniels as his quarterback. Now, this should have Commanders fans salivating. As we know, it has not been a great year for Commanders wide receivers. Deebo Samuel leads all Commanders receivers with 600 yards, and that's through 14 games. Now, I know Deebo missed a game and had a couple other games where he was hampered by injuries, but if your leading receiver has 600 yards total, you probably need some wide receiver help, and that's exactly where Brandon Aiyuk could come into play for the Commanders. Brandon Aiyuk, we know, is coming off this torn ACL, but that doesn't mean he's done for his career. He has the perfect rehab opportunity in Washington with his teammate from college, Jayden Daniels. I showed you the stats of his 1 year with Jayden in college, and he was a 1,000-yard receiver. Going back to what the Commanders have looked like without any top targets this year. Sure, Terry McLaurin has been on a tear since coming back. His last 2 games, putting up ridiculous numbers and scoring a touchdown in each. But outside of that, there's been very little production. Look at this. You have a tight end on the list of Commanders' top receiving options this year. Sure, Zach Ertz is amazing. But then breaking this down even further, Zach Ertz just tore his ACL as well. He's done for the year, and likely, being a free agent at the end of the year, it's unlikely that he's returning anyway. And if he does, he still has to rehab that injury. Suffered in December, 12 months from December, 8 to 12 months, which is that ACL repair time frame. That puts him just in line for the start of next season or by the end of the season. So it's very questionable whether or not, if Zach Ertz even returns in free agency, would be healthy next year. And Deebo Samuel also a free agent at the end of this year. So that leaves the Commanders with Terry McLaurin, who they just re-signed, and a rookie in Jalen Lane, a second-year player in Luke McCaffrey. Granted, they'll be second and third-year players by the time next season rolls around and the Commanders possibly get Aiyuk, but the Commanders need a lot of help. Whether or not you think Aiyuk is due too much money, well, this should help ease some of those fears. San Francisco voided Aiyuk's guarantees after he missed rehab sessions with the team, and he elected not to file with the NFLPA, meaning the 49ers could cut him and not owe him a single dime, meaning the Commanders would not be on the hook for that money either. They would be able to sign him to whatever deal they'd like to, and they could have Brandon Aiyuk in the building, teaming him back up with his college teammate in Jayden Daniels. Now, we know Jayden is done for the year, but that means all eyes are on next season. And with that being said, they could sorely use a receiver of Brandon Aiyuk's caliber. Last time he played with Jayden Daniels, 1,000-yard season, almost 1,200 yards. Now, here's Brandon Aiyuk's career numbers. On a 17-game average, he's a 1,000-yard receiver. Last year, of course, only playing 7 games after tearing his ACL. The Commanders could use this with their team. You look at his career numbers, career average, 1,000 yards per 17 games. Taking a look at the Commanders receivers this year through 14 games, nobody's even close to that. So to suggest that the Commanders couldn't use a wide receiver of Brandon Aiyuk's caliber is just insane. They could definitely use that caliber. And this list doesn't even have Noah Brown, another receiver that the Commanders have, who was expected to be last year signed to be their number 2 receiver. With the addition of Deebo Samuel this year, probably slid down to 3 on that depth chart, but still, he's not even on this list. A lot of injuries for him. Once again, out with injury after hurting his back and his ribs in the game against New York after just returning once again. Now out with injury once again. The Commanders could certainly use a receiver of Brandon Aiyuk's caliber. Now, if you're questioning whether Aiyuk is a locker room cancer or whatnot, that's valid. But again, he'd be teamed up with his roommate from college, his college teammate at Arizona State, Jayden Daniels. Now, going back to the effect this could have on Jayden, we saw the struggles he had this year with limited chemistry with his receivers. Adding a guy like Brandon Aiyuk, who he already has chemistry with from his days at Arizona State, a guy that he lobbied for the Commanders to trade for last season, while Brandon Aiyuk was seeking a new deal from San Francisco. You add that guy and you make your quarterback 1 happy. What's better than a happy Jayden Daniels? Obviously a healthy Jayden Daniels, but a happy and healthy Jayden Daniels with another wide receiver to throw to. You have Terry McLaurin still as your wide receiver 1. You add another wide receiver who has the potential of being a 1 in Brandon Aiyuk. You have a young and growing Jalen Lane. You have Luke McCaffrey, who showed flashes before breaking his collarbone. And the sky is the limit for the Commanders' wide receiver core. Again, not a lot of production this year. If they do resign Deebo, which again, he's a free agent at the end of the year, that adds just another piece for the Commanders and Jayden Daniels to target. So in conclusion, Brandon Aiyuk likely to be cut by the San Francisco 49ers, disgruntled in San Francisco. Kyle Shanahan says he hasn't even seen him in a month. Washington pegged as a potential destination for Aiyuk. And again, that former teammate aspect with Jayden Daniels makes perfect sense. Rumors linking Brandon Aiyuk to the Washington Commanders. I'm all for it. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Let me know what you think down in the comments on Commanders Digest. See you all next time.